Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler. On this first day of March, we're 2 weeks away and one day from the start of the NCAA tournament. Next week, we'll have the men's conference tournaments. Looking forward to that. Big show tonight. Keith Engel. Now, Keith Engel's scheduled to come on. He says he's going to try to force through and do his show. As far as I know right now, Keith Engel will be on 30 minutes past the hour. He's been battling flu-like symptoms. He's going to play hurt. It's going to be the Jordan flu game. So he may be on around 30 minutes past the hour. If not, we will work that time out the best we can. Charles Barkley about Kevin Durant got his first game tonight. I'll talk about that and a few other things here on Sports Scope. Let me get the only breakout here, and I'll be back in a minute and 19 seconds. Hello, Sports Scope followers. After 5 years of doing this program once a week, balancing a 60-hour work week job, I've decided to do the program 5 days a week, 1 hour a night, taking a significant pay cut. So I've started a Patreon page, which is Patreon, Patreon/SportsScope, spelled the same way at the bottom of the screen you see there. For $5 a month, 17 cents a day, you can help support the program. You ask yourself, why Sports Scope? Well, I bring in such big names such as Al Borges, former Auburn offensive coordinator, and I cover the big news in sports that the corporate media will not cover. If you want to contribute more than $5 a month, you can go use the Cash App. The cash tag is Sports Scope, again spelled the same way, or you can go to the Zelle app, sportscope@gmail.com. SportsScope has about 5,000 followers and growing. If you want to advertise on the program, you can email me. The word is SportsScope, spelled the same way again, @gmail.com. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then. I'm back here live on all links. All right, now. Biggest story of the day, Jalen Carter, Georgia defensive tackle. Carter, by Mel Kiper, is considered the top 5 pick. Most draft analysts consider him a top 5 talent. Mel Kiper thinks that before this news broke today, he thinks that Carter will that the Bears will trade down and with the Colts at 4, and Carter was going to be taken at 4. As I mentioned before, Pickles, when talking about the season and whatnot, coming into the season, this guy's an All-American, very likely going to be a top 5, top 10 pick, the biggest prospect. The highest draftable prospect on the Georgia Bulldogs, obviously undefeated, back-to-back national champion. But he was involved in I don't know about, must have been a full moon, Pickles, on January 15th. The same night that the incident happened with the Alabama basketball player, this happens, okay? Just hear me out. This is what happened. Georgia defensive end. I got this from Pro Football Focus, but I've also got some other notes. Georgia defensive end Jalen Carter, one of the top prospects in all the prospects in the NFL draft, was present at the scene of a teammate's fatal car crash on January 15th. Drove away and misled police about it afterward, according to a new report. Atlanta Journal-Constitution reports that Carter first told police he was near a mile away when the crash happened. Then he said he was behind the other vehicle and could see the taillights. Then he said he was alongside the car when it crashed. Georgia football staffer Chandler LaCroix was driving the car that crashed, and Georgia offensive lineman Devin Willock was a passenger. Both died. another football staffer, another football player were injured. Police questioned Carter about whether he was racing the other car, and Carter denied it. The official story until now has been along a single car crash caused by LaCroix driving too fast. It was not clear whether Carter was in legal jeopardy. And of course, we know what happened afterwards. Surveillance camera. Listen, folks, there's a couple of lessons here. If you do something, if you're involved in a crash, a hit and run, something really bad like that, where somebody may have died, like an issue where Henry Ruggs was charged. I want to say he was charged with like a DUI and vehicular homicide or whatnot. And you're by any kind of buildings or any kind of metropolitan area, there's a good chance you're going to be on camera. There's a good chance. And that's what happened. That's why this came out now. So now there's an arrest warrant for him for reckless driving and racing, drag racing, at 2:45 in the morning. Now, here's the thing. This guy, this 24-year-old staffer, recruiting analyst or whatever, Chandler LaCroix Pickles, this guy is 24 years old, driving a leased vehicle by the university, and his blood alcohol level, according to the police, was double the legal limit, and he was doing 104 miles an hour in a 40-mile-per-hour zone. This was on the day of after they won the championship. They won the championship on the 9th. This celebration was on the 15th, and apparently this is when all this went down. Now, I've never been that drunk at 24 years old or that stupid to go drag racing in a drag racing period. I think that's idiotic. Drunk or not. Legally drunk. That's twice the legal limit according to police toxicology. And then Jalen Carter, he was apparently racing them, according to this. Now, there have been talks at the combine, according to Albert Breer, of the, I think he's with the NFL Network. He may be with Fox, but I think he's with NFL Network. He says NFL teams had a lot of questions concerning Jalen Carter's maturity / makeup that went back well before the incident. Obviously, this will qualify as a pretty serious red flag stemming from the tragic incident. He's top 5 any way you shake it. Any way you shake it. You know, Pickle says doing 120. Yeah. So you're doing 100 miles an hour in a 40 at 2:45 in the morning and not thinking that you're going to get in any kind of trouble. That staffer, I mean, you know, God rest his soul. But this is turning into a bigger issue for me, Pickles. If I'm, you know, as Jimmy Johnson said, you never ask a head coach. You never ask a head coach in most cases, not unless you really know them. Now, Saban will tell you the truth. He don't care. But you never ask about character issues to a head coach. They're going to sell you a bill of goods, what Jimmy Johnson said. You want to ask around strength and conditioning coaches, other coaches related, but you put this issue up, and then you want to go back and look at also Stetson Bennett, same team, charged with public intox back on January 29th in Dallas. Police said he was randomly knocking on doors in apartment complexes. That's the quarterback on the same team. Okay? And I'm out of Nashville, as you can see in the backdrop there. The Tennessee Titans drafted in 2020 offensive tackle from Georgia, Isaiah Wilson. He was drafted in 2020. And Wilson was placed on the Titans' non-football injury list in December of that year, will go down as perhaps the greatest bust in franchise history. He appeared in one game in 2020. Isaiah Wilson embattled the first-round draft pick bust, was arrested in Georgia for driving later 140 miles an hour with drugs in his possession 2 months before the Titans traded him, according to a police report obtained by the Tennessean back in January. On January 7th, Wilson and a woman were charged with felony, fleeing police, possession of Schedule I controlled substance, marijuana, drug paraphernalia, and driving recklessly. My point is, you got to watch these Georgia players. You got to, you are going to have to really go through a fine-tooth comb when you're drafting these guys. And it makes me think about Carlos Pickles. It makes me think about teams that get this sudden surge of just great players together, and they win a national championship like Georgia has, and they're so caught up into recruiting that the motto is they were drinking with the staffer there. Well, not drinking. They were out partying with the staffer, drag racing with the staffer. Okay. We don't know that for sure if they were. I know that the staffer was toxicology said he had double the legal limit. That's from the police report. But this is kind of a common thing. People say, what's another example? Look at Florida. Urban Meyer, not just Aaron Hernandez. Riley Cooper, they had a defensive end. There's a whole list of players, arrest records of those Florida championship teams that Urban Meyer won those. That's why he was only there 5 years, by the way. Just get them in, get them out. Any red flag, as long as it don't go public, we're going to be okay with it. As long as it don't go public, that's the mentality. You look at Urban Meyer and those Florida teams. Now, yeah, Tebow was a saint, but not just Hernandez. I mean, there's a whole list. Riley Cooper got in trouble at Florida. Bar fights, you name it. But go back even farther. Let's go back to the 90s. Peter Warrick, Lavernius Coles involved felony theft. Same thing at Florida State. Just a flood of really good players. You win a national championship. You're in contention to win multiple national championships. A lot of money. A lot of the staff gets raises. There's so much money. It's that overlooked mentality, like USC got charged with, lack of institutional control because everybody's trying to fatten their pockets, But the teams like this, when you see that flood of talent that surges like that, you gotta go that extra mile because of the culture. You have to go that extra mile when you draft these players to see. Because think about it, when you put Jalen Carter, what do you put millions of dollars in his pocket? When you hear maturity issues, now he's a defensive tackle, he's not a linebacker. My guess is he will drop probably 15 to 22, 15 to 30, and somebody like Baltimore will take him. They want to build a defense. Somebody like Baltimore, who they were a wild card round loss, they'll probably draft him because they know he's top 5 talent. They'll probably put something in his contract to save their rear end. But it's just something that I've noticed to say, what about Nick Saban? Yes, Saban has had these problems too, but I'll tell you what difference between Saban and everybody else. You never see repeat offenders. Saban's like this big father figure to these guys. You never see repeat offenders. After Saban says, I'll handle it in-house, you never hear from it again. Now, players leave Alabama. They go to the NFL and get in trouble. But while they're at Alabama, once they're in trouble, and he keeps those players, and trust me, he's got into some shouting matches, one particularly with Paul Feinbaum over a player. And he went back and later apologized to Paul for it. But what he does, he chews their rear end out. And Musa Muhammad, there's a good story there where he was pressured to cut him. He didn't. He's like that father figure. Some of these guys don't come from, I don't know about Carter's situation. I'm just using it as an example. They come from single parent homes and they go wild in college. They go wild, buck wild, you know. And these coaches, they're mainly worried about themselves, you know. They're worried about, they're so caught up into themselves that they're not stressing him. You know, Carter says he's going to be fully exonerated. I doubt it. If you got surveillance, you know, people, you think people in the police and where's this, Athens, Georgia, want to charge you with it? They don't want to bring that bad. They would have, but somebody died. It's another issue like the Alabama Brandon Miller thing. Somebody died. It's big, you know. But I'm surprised nothing's came out with Clemson. But, you know, Dabo Swinney's another one of those strong figure types that he likes to take stuff head on. But these other programs, even Tennessee, they had their share. But Florida State, Florida, and I'm starting to notice this with Georgia. And when you draft a Georgia player, you can't take the head coach's word for it. You're going to have to look high and low. Ask around. I mean, you're really campus police, city police. I mean, when you draft these guys, and that's just three that I can find. How much has been swept under the rug with Georgia? You know, this is the cost of winning. I mean, but you get a lot of guys who are getting big jobs. Kirby Smart's getting big money, big raises. I mean, the staffer took a car that the university gave him and was drag racing at 2:45 in the morning with play. What genius does that, Pickles? Who does that, man? You know, God rest his soul, but man, is that stupid. I've never been that stupid, guys. And Pickle says they're most ex-players. But no, you can. I was in college, and I found some really good stories there. The city didn't find this story, but I found one, and I was a reporter. And I found one about our star basketball player that he got arrested for having marijuana in his dorm. I talked about that the other day, you know. But it's a sweep it under the rug mentality. You got to look high and low, folks. You got to look high and low, if you ask me. Okay. What story? Okay, now Kevin Durant. Charles Barkley said Kevin Durant will be playing tonight, by the way. And again, I haven't got anything from Keith Engel, so I do think he's going to make it. I think he's going to come on. He'll be on the program here in about 12 minutes. Charles Barkley said basically that Kevin Durant, he needs to win a championship where he's actually the best player. Well, you know, somebody like Jason McIntyre, he must be a fanboy. I don't know what this guy is from Fox Sports. And I'm sure others think this. Said that, you know, what happened with Durant at Golden State where he did win the MVP. He did win the MVP, so that counts. No, there's a reason why Durant went to Brooklyn, okay? He went to a 73-win team. When he took that team to Game 7. He went to a 73-win team who already won a championship. All right? Then they win a championship after you leave. So he knows that that's a fraudulent shit. Who in their prime, say this out loud, guys. Who in their prime goes to a major player like that, goes to a record-setting team 2 years after winning a championship and try to claim like you were the big last piece of the puzzle, knowing you were not the last piece of the puzzle. When that happened, I was tweeting out those little candy rings that we used to have as kids, Carlos. Remember those little candy rings? They were like suckers, but they're on the ring, Hey, I got the gold ring, I got the diamond. That's what that was about, But Barkley's right. Barkley's right. Now, I don't know how good they're going to be. I'm going to ask Keith Engel about Kevin Durant. But I just think that it is just insane in the membrane, and we'll see how it goes. Okay. It's going to be an interesting season. I think they're going to run out of gas, but Russell Westbrook with the Clippers, can the Clippers buy him out? Can the Clippers cut him? I mean, they're 0-3 now. Listen to what Rick Bucher said about Russell Westbrook and Ty Lue already. Got
benched the other night.
Okay. Rick Bucher on the Colin Cowherd show about Russell Westbrook, me trying to pick the West. Very hard in the NBA right now. Check this out.
People didn't understand why Russ Westbrook got benched the other night. And because he was having a nice offensive night. It's because coaches aren't looking at the box score and going, oh, hey, he's shooting 60%. I got to keep him on the floor. It's, you were supposed to run the play this way, and you completely botched it. And then you gave up on us. You didn't fight over a screen, and we got a switch, and now you're guarding Nikola Jokic. I'm taking you out of the game.
Right.
And the fans, I don't know, always realize that a coach watching the game is judging whether his game plan is being executed. And if it's not, then you're not going to stay on the floor.
Yeah, I could have told you that, man. I could have told you that. Pickles thinks they're stuck with him. This guy is a great player. He's a great energizer bunny. He's a great sixth man. That's all he is. You bring him in about 10 minutes into the first quarter, maybe the start of the second quarter. All right. Play to halftime. Bring him in to start the third quarter. Maybe to start the fourth quarter, since it's 12-minute quarters. Then you yank him out. He is a poison. I was watching some of the box scores the other day. And one of them said Westbrook turnover. Westbrook missed 3. Yeah, Westbrook is Westbrook, And now they're 0-3. So tying that to the Durant thing, I was for sure the Clippers will be a clear-cut favorite. I don't have a lot of faith in Denver, but Denver, I think at home, I know they've won a few rounds in the bubble. That was back in 2020 season, folks. And now if they could keep Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Porter with the Joker there, it does look like they'll probably make the finals. But you got people saying that maybe Golden State. I think Golden State seems to be too old too. Supposedly Steph Curry's supposed to be back soon. But you got to look at their age. I already told you about the Lakers. We already talked about Anthony Davis out tonight, by the way. Anthony Davis won't play tonight. I told you about the Lakers. LeBron's going to be out, 2 to 3 weeks? Well, that's pretty much the rest of the season. They'll be lucky to get a play-in game, the Lakers. They'll be lucky to get play-in game status. They were beat last night, as I said. And the other team would be Denver and the Clippers, but the Clippers got the Russell Westbrook curse going right now. Carlos says, play them like Derrick Rose and then bench. I mean, that's the way I would do it. And look, this is something to talk about Friday, Carlos. Put this in your notes here, man. That the Knicks, since acquiring Josh Hart, they're 6-1. They're what 6-0 right now? They're 6-0 right now. So chemistry is a big thing. Now, he played with Brunson in college, from what I understand. So chemistry is a big thing. Coaching, the main thing about coaching in the regular season is getting, and if you know you're going to the playoffs, and I think the Knicks will, is getting the right rotations together and finding the right five to run with each other, you know. Oh, and by the way, Pickles, I almost forgot that story because I was working. Ja Morant, there's been a police report filed on him beating up a 17-year-old and pulling a gun on him. So how is that going to work out? I mean, what are these guys thinking? You know? And I keep telling people that just because you're making millions of dollars and you can dribble a ball or you can catch a ball good, that doesn't mean that mentally you're mature enough. Some of these guys are still, you know, they're 23, 24 years old, but some of them still have a maturity level of a 14-year-old. So I haven't got all the details of that. I'll probably get into that tomorrow as maybe something else develops out of that Memphis Grizzlies thing with Ja Morant. And, you know, I don't know if it happened in Memphis. I know he's originally from South Carolina. Corey says it's too much privilege, you know. And that's what I've been telling people about. You know, people say, well, you know, poor ball player this and poor ball player that. I'll come from a bad neighborhood. I know what it's like. Don't give me that crap. I've been around college. I've seen a lot of documentaries on the college lifestyle. I've covered players in the college game. At Austin Peay, Carlos knows that. He witnessed it. They are treated like kings. They are privileged. The professors are extra nice to them in class. They talk about now some of them resent the players, like the one that Aaron Rodgers was talking about. The woman she was envious of that. She said, "You'll never make it. You'll get hurt. You'll never make it." And she was really, but most of them. They joke around with them. They cut them a lot of slack. The coaches do the same thing. The bigger the player, you know, Jason Whitlock once called LeBron a child star. He called him a child star, you know, a spoiled child actor star. And I thought, you know what? That really ain't the way LeBron's acted over the years. I mean, that's not too far from the truth. That's not too far from the truth when you're talking about these guys, you know. But it's one of them things where it's not what we think it is. Some of these guys, really good guys. Not everybody's a POS or a privilege or an egomaniac. I've had various tiers on here. Now, maybe, you know, he was raised right. He had good restart important updates. Okay, I keep getting these stupid things on my computer. I hope my computer don't shut down. Something from Windows. So it is what it is, but I don't have too much empathy for the players. Once you start to find out, it's usually not just one bad night with these players. It's usually the time that they got caught. They're usually been bleeping off for a long time. Like I said, Jalen Carter, the stuff about his immaturity issues, that was talked about a few days ago. This goes back way before that, according to Albert Breer with the NFL on Twitter there. He says this goes way back with the immaturity issues. So it's usually not what we think it is. Where you had one bad. It's usually they've been bleeping up for a while, and then they finally got caught. Pickle says something about Draymond Green. Now, Green has been in all kinds of stuff, knocking out Jordan Poole. I'm surprised that he hasn't gotten in any worse situation than he already has. And here's Keith Angle. This is the flu game coming up on here. Michael Jordan, speaking of great players here. Hey, Keith, I hear you're a little bit under the weather there, man, to say the least.
we're struggling. I somehow made it through my college football or college sports huddle show today, and I'm fading, but I wanted to come in and give you whatever I had left, Robert.
All right, brother. All right. So what do you got the Hurricanes thing on? What's your thoughts on this Jalen Carter? I mean, how stupid can you be, man? Drag racing like that.
You know, I mean, it's a tragic thing. Here's a kid with, and again, three people. This isn't just him, right? Obviously, two people lost their lives.
Staffer.
Yeah. And she was going 100 miles an hour, both of them twice over the legal limit. And, you know, we forget sometimes that, you know, these are still young people and they make stupid decisions, right? And it's just, you know, for the grace of God go I, sometimes I say. Because we've all done stupid things, and this kid now he's not going to get. Do you see any way this kid gets picked in the draft?
Well, I don't think he's going to go 5th overall or 4th, like Mel Kiper says.
I
think somebody like the Ravens may draft him in the 20s.
You think he'll go that high?
Yeah, you know how some of these really defensively heavy teams are.
Yeah, and look at it. I mean, the NFL forgives people for worse things than this, I guess. So, but I'd be shocked if he didn't fall out of the first couple of rounds. I would not be shocked.
Oh, wow. Now, if he falls to the 4th round, I'm out of Tennessee. I mean, I'd love to see Vrabel if you take a chance, you know, take a flyer. But then again, Tennessee, they got totally hoodwinked by a guy named Isaiah Wilson from Georgia, Keith, a few years ago.
Yeah.
They drafted this guy in the 1st round. He was a total bust. He also got in a similar issue where he's running from the police doing 140 miles an hour. They traded him for a 7th round pick after he played one play with Tennessee.
It's really unfortunate. You know, it's an ugly story. And what gets lost is the fact that, you know, 2 other young people who had their whole lives in front of them, they've lost. They're no longer here at all. So he'll at least have a chance to, you know, redeem himself in whatever way he can. And
one of those people was a staffer for Georgia, 24 years old. What was he thinking? He's supposed to be the mature one there.
Yeah. Wasn't that she? I think that was
she or whatever. Oh no, the person who died.
Yeah, Chandler.
2 women. It was a guy named Jalen.
Right. Yeah, you're
Carter. There was a woman there too. She should. I wonder if they're going to fire her.
Well, how can you not when you're involved in something like this? Yeah. You know, one of the kids was still on the team, correct? The kid who died, he hadn't graduated. So
no, but there was a guy also, and there was a woman. Her name was Victoria something.
Yeah.
And I just think it's crazy. And, you know, my whole thing about it is, Keith, is these teams that have a surge in recruiting like Georgia has, and you look at Florida with Urban Meyer, they had that surge in recruiting, and look at Florida State back in the 90s with the players Lavertius Coles and Peter Warwick. I think that they have a look the other way mentality. Long as nobody gets hurt, let's take care of our. I mean, I think it's kind of like a thing.
Look at Aaron Hernandez at Florida and Urban Meyer. I mean, he knew what this kid was up to. I mean, he wasn't killing people yet, but you know, they were certainly looking the other way with him a lot. So, and that's not doing the kids any favors.
No,
you know. So
I think you have to look. I was reading the Jimmy Johnson book. He says, don't ask these head coaches about this. They'll sell you a bag of goods. You got to ask strength and conditioning coach, police reports, school campus police, city police. I mean, you really have, especially these teams like Georgia, you know, where they're overloaded with talent and everybody's trying to push these guys through, because you start winning big like they've been, everybody's going to get, you know, rich.
Yeah,
the coaches they're going to get massive raises, the assistants and everything.
Sure. Well, yeah, because it's all about winning, and I get it. That's what they're there for. But you're also there to mentor young men,
right?
You know, to me, great coaches, that's what they do. They don't just win games; they also, you know, help guys grow and mature as people. You know?
I haven't seen it out of Dabo and Saban. His players have gotten in trouble, but you never see them repeat as a defender under Saban.
Yeah.
Now they get in trouble once they leave. I know Henry Ruggs got in that that tragedy, but that was after he left. But
Right.
Saban usually he's kind of like a father figure, and he's a disciplinarian, and it's a good thing. Some of these guys don't have a dad around. Hey, so what do you think about Kevin Durant? First start tonight. Charles Barkley says he needs to win a championship as the main guy, and I totally agree. That stuff in Golden State was just a fraudulent paper champion if I ever seen one. What's your thoughts on Durant tonight, and how do you think they fare, man?
I totally agree that he does with Charles Barkley that he needs to win a championship basically on his own. I mean, he does have Chris Paul out there, but that's a little different than Steph Curry in his prime.
Right. They already won a championship, 73 wins. Come on. And then he went after he leaves. Go figure.
This Suns team has struggled a little bit this year, but I think this is, if he can stay healthy, the West is wide open. I think
it does feel wide open,
and I think that this team will fare well if he can stay healthy. I still think, he's not a leader, that's for sure. But Chris Paul is a better leader, I think, than Durant, and maybe he doesn't need to go lead this team, do anything but stay healthy. When he's healthy, he's still one of the 5 best players in the league, I think.
Yeah,
so. I think he might be able to have enough. If he's got enough left in the tank and stay healthy enough, they can make a run in the West, I think.
Do you have a team in the West that you see? See, I still don't have a feel either. I thought maybe the Clippers, but Westbrook, they're 0-3 since they got him. He's bad luck, man.
Yeah. Denver's going to fade. They always,
Right. Well, they're fully healthy, and they'll probably have home court. I'm leaning Denver, but like you said, I don't know if I can trust.
They always seem to lose, in the second round of playoffs. They don't even get past that. But Grizzlies are somebody maybe to watch out.
Yeah.
For.
Ja Morant, there's a police report made on him beating up a 17-year-old kid. I read that today. That story's still developing. So
these guys.
What's up with these guys?
It takes me.
Boom!
It's going to get through the police blotter in the morning. I'm too tired to read the sports.
Right.
Enough.
I know you can't make this stuff up, man.
No.
And so going back to Westbrook, so the Clippers acquire Westbrook. Rick Bucher, he's talking about on the Colin Cowherd show that Ty Lue's already had to bench him because he ran the play the wrong way.
Shocking.
And he's not getting back on defense. They're 0-3 with him. What you cannot finish games with Westbrook. Why don't people understand that? Just bring him off the bench as a 6-man and don't keep him in the game with 5 to 10 minutes left in the game. He's going to lose it for you.
Yeah, hey, look at this guy is probably the most overrated player in the NBA in a long time because his numbers look tremendous until you kind of dig into them. You know, that year he's getting all the triple doubles and average a triple double. Maybe he did, didn't he? First guy since.
Well, he even his own teammates admitted that he was, stat padding.
Yeah, well, he'd miss his own shot so he can get the rebound.
I've seen that, Keith.
Come on. He's not listen. If you want to go out and watch an exciting player play, one on basketball, well, then go watch Westbrook. If you want your team to win, I don't think you want Westbrook anywhere. 6th man, 12th man. I don't think you want him on that roster.
Are you surprised by the lack of success with Dallas, Kyrie, with Luka?
No. How did Dallas think this was going to be a good idea? How?
Yeah. You could just see the look on Mark Cuban's face Sunday, man, when they blew that 27-point lead. That's a meme now.
I didn't see it.
He's mad, dude.
I'll look for it when we get done here because.
Yeah. So, go back to the draft here. What are your thoughts on these quarterbacks? I mean, I see Anthony Richardson of Florida, obviously Will Levis, C.J. Stroud, and Bryce Young. How would you rank those players, man? I mean, I'm having a hard time.
I've said for a while now that as far as guys I think that are ready to play, Will Levis is the best guy. If you want a guy to play right now, I think he's the best guy. Richardson's probably a project. I'm not sure. There were some rumors that he was going to go higher than, I think he was ranked 19 or 20. I saw today.
Yeah.
But there were some rumors he was going to go in the top 10. And I'm like, did anybody watch this guy play in college? Because I didn't see a top 10 player. I'm not even sure I saw a first round player. So he's the guy I have the least confidence in. And then you
Okay.
got to wonder, why did guys like Bryce Young go to the combine, but they're not even going to throw?
Yeah, he's got an injury. Okay, so
Stay
I
home.
read that he's over the injury he suffered in October in the Arkansas game. He comes back in 2 games. He plays great against Tennessee, but why is he not throwing? You're 192 pounds. You're 5'10".
If you're not going to throw as a quarterback, why are you going to the combine? Stay
Or
home.
do interviews and stuff.
Yeah, CJ Stroud, I think, will be a better quarterback in the NFL than Bryce Young. I don't know if it'll happen right away. I think he'll take some time. He's going to be a project. If a team wants to win now, I find a way to get Will Levis because I think he's the most ready to play in the NFL.
Where do you see him best fitting at?
Well, there's where's it? Let me see. I had the draft order here, so let me take a quick look.
Oh, okay. I might be able to find it in here somewhere.
I had it. There it is. So, well, you got teams that need quarterbacks here pretty early. Houston, Indianapolis. I wouldn't be shocked to see Denver or the Rams take a quarterback, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah? Wow.
Or move out of the spot. I mean,
Yeah.
that's Stafford's hurt or whatnot. I wouldn't be shocked. Listen, I'm not sure that Sean Payton's going to be all that enamored with Russell Wilson. I know Russell Wilson. All the story.
Yeah. I guess you must have heard about that story with him trying to get rid of.
Yeah, because he wanted Payton, right? But
he wanted Payton.
I don't know that that's going to be the best. Wilson has kind of gone down in my estimation. I don't know that he's the guy that Sean Payton wants to go to battle with for a long time. And I wouldn't be shocked if he takes a quarterback there. So,
man, yeah, that would be. And I think that they gave up their first round pick to Seattle.
Yeah.
Do you think Seattle just stays with Geno Smith?
Yeah, I think they'll either sign him or franchise him. I really do.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I don't know about a long-term contract, and if he wants that much money, then I'll just slap the tag on him and then say, "Show me." I got to see it again. I got to see it again before I give him a lot of years and money.
And you know what? I'm hearing maybe 35 for Daniel Jones. I mean, at what point is somebody going to say, we know what the air quote market is, but just because other people are going to play a ridiculous amount of money, what makes you think we're going to pay, Lamar Jackson wanting more money than Deshaun Watson?
Well, Deshaun Watson's contract just blew the market right up too. I mean, that's nuts. But the problem too is anytime any league, whether it's the NFL or Major League Baseball, they try to rein in salaries, and all of a sudden then you got collusion charges, filed by the players union. So how are teams supposed to rein in salaries before they get? Well, they're already out of control in every sport, right? And listen, I'm all for guys getting whatever somebody's willing to pay it, right?
Right.
You're worth it if they're willing to pay it. But if I say I don't want to pay you, and none of my compadres in the league want to pay you, then we're not colluding necessarily. When
common sense.
We want to get salaries under control, so we don't have to charge astronomical amounts for tickets and everything else.
Right.
Because
plus you have a hard cap. That's what I was explaining to them. Most players haven't won a players that make over 12.6% of the cap haven't won a Super Bowl other than Patrick Mahomes at 15. He was a quarter. I mean, just a few bad plays away from losing it.
That's a great stat. I wasn't aware of that.
That was my main reason for picking Philadelphia. Obviously, I thought they had a better roster overall.
Yeah.
But, I mean, plus they had a double-digit lead at halftime. No other team had blown that since the Patriots, or came back from that since the Patriots, 28-3 against Atlanta.
Oh, I kind of remember that game. Yeah.
Do you think he got sick on that trip, man, or what happened? Did it change the weather up there?
Every time I come home from vacation now, I get sick. It's like the last 5 times I've been sick when I get home. So I think it's the airplanes. I really think it's the airplanes. But
yeah, man, you like the flu game.
It could be the weather too. Who knows? Yeah,
it's really unseasonably warm out here, but we got some storms heading this way tomorrow, man. I just think this stuff is wild here. Yeah. You know what? I don't really know who is. I'm like you. I think it simply depends on where these players fall.
Yeah.
I was never sold on Jalen Hurts, but Shane Steichen is with the Colts now.
Yep.
And I think a guy like a Stroud, a CJ Stroud, or if they held off, maybe an Anthony Richardson reminds me so much of Jalen Hurts. It ain't even funny. He is very big.
Yeah.
He is very strong. Got that built, very durable player. And I want to say Hurts never really had that high completion percentage either.
No, definitely not. I mean, no, he didn't. Not in college for sure. I mean, he got benched for Tua. I mean, Nick Saban couldn't bench him. He
didn't do that great at Oklahoma, as we all thought he would.
No, and I never thought he was going to make it, but obviously he's been a pretty good quarterback in the NFL. So maybe
he's probably the best quarterback in the NFC. It's say if Aaron Rodgers may retire in the next year or so. Who's better in the NFC, man?
Yeah, he's got a calmness about him now since he came out of the cave.
Pickle says, "Who do you think the Patriots are draft?"
You know what?
Is it too soon to call? Too close to call?
Yeah, I think they're good. I can't give you specific names. I think because you never know what Bill's going to do. Look what he did last year. It was a very good pick, by the way. Cole Strange, he's a great player. Everybody, but he came out of nowhere. Nobody saw that pick coming.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be shocked if Bill went offensive line again.
So that guy turned out to be a good player?
Oh, he's a very good player. He struggled a little bit kind of midseason or whatnot, but he came back strong. He's going to be a really good lineman for a long time. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him go back to offensive line again.
Nice. I don't know if you caught this, but Sean McVay and Les Snead were making fun of Belichick for drafting this guy. And I'm thinking, okay, he's got 6 rings. You got 1.
I remember.
The audacity of you making fun. And now you're saying that guy turned out to be a pretty good player.
I think he'll be an all-pro probably next year, I would say. I mean, because if any kind of progress, plus they've got a new offensive coordinator, they'll have a new system. Everybody struggled a little bit this year, as we know, with that system.
Yeah.
New offensive line coach who the Patriots love, Adrian Clem from Oregon.
Yeah.
Dante Scarnecchia has been after the Patriots to bring this guy in for a couple of years.
Nice. Scarnecchia, he's a legend.
He's a legend in New England for sure.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
I've heard about him.
Yeah, he was there for decades, multiple roles. He left, came back. Kind of wish he'd come back again, but he might be getting a little long in the tooth now to do that.
Yeah.
So.
It's combine time. Made me think about the Patriots now that we're talking about it. Traquan Thornton, he's the fastest guy in the combine. How do you think, he caught a touchdown there towards the end. Do you think maybe he's maybe a late bloomer a little bit?
He showed some flashes this year. He had some injuries. He was nicked up a bit. But he played a couple of pretty good games late in the season. He played really well against Buffalo the last game they lost.
Yeah.
So I think there's some hope for him. One of the few guys, that receiving core needs help. Parker's got to go.
Jacoby Myers a free agent. You think they let him walk?
It's going to depend on how much money he wants. They're not going to overpay him. We know that.
I'm okay with that. He's okay. He ain't worth no $15 million.
No, he's not. But if he comes in at a reasonable price, he is a valuable guy because he's a guy who moves the chains.
He's got chemistry with Mac Jones.
Yeah, he's reliable, but he's no game breaker, right? That's what they need. They need Thornton to step up, or they got to go out and find a game breaker.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? They could be a big time game breaking team, with all the money that Allen's taken, and they ain't done anything in Buffalo, and who knows what the Jets are going to do. I'm still reading. They're really put Woody Johnson's involved, and he may have got Woody Allen involved trying to get Derek Carr up there with the Jets.
They might better get him involved rather than Woody Johnson. But
we'll put you in a movie.
The Jets are kind of they're kind of screwed no matter what they do. They can't just say Rodgers wants to move on, right? Yeah. You really want to bring that that drama queen into New York. I mean, this guy struggles with the media in Green Bay, where there is nobody.
2 or 3 people.
What's he going to do in New York with that kind of scrutiny on him? He'll
the smallest town versus the biggest town.
Or maybe maybe it's worth it and they win a Super Bowl, but then you mortgage part of your future. Is that really worth it? But what's the other alternatives? You stay pat. We know the problem's there. You bring in Derek Carr. Well, you might make the playoffs, but you aren't going to win a playoff game.
Yeah.
I mean, last time look, Zach Wilson's got as many playoff wins as Derek Carr.
I think if Tennessee, if things don't work out with the Jets and Carr, I think Carr will probably go to Carolina. I don't think he's going to go to the Jets.
Yeah.
Carolina is also interviewing Carr.
Yeah.
Or he's meeting with them in air quotes. I think maybe a Tennessee may trade a Tannehill. Corey Davis used to play with Tannehill. Their passing coordinator used to be Tennessee's offensive coordinator. And by the way, Tannehill's next year, his contract's voidable.
Yeah.
They can re-sign him. They can extend him and totally redo his contract and make it team friendly. Now, Ryan Carthon said yesterday that, Tannehill's still a Titan. I think he's just saying that so other teams would possibly be interested. He don't want to downgrade him too much.
No,
I think that's a little bit of word salad there, but that's just me.
I would say the same thing. I mean, everybody wants to pretty up their garbage before somebody comes around.
He's a piece of crap. We can't keep him healthy. Well, why do you want me to give you a 4th round or 3rd round pick for it? 34 years old, Well, man, I appreciate you coming in, man. You got anything you need to add? When's your show times nowadays?
I'll tell you what. Well, I just finished up the College Sports Huddle, which is 7:00 on Wednesday nights. Tomorrow,
that's Eastern time. Yep.
Yeah, we do the show with Carlos. Are You Serious? On Friday morning at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
The Sunday Stream of Consciousness is Sunday at 8:30 a.m. That's why we pass in the night or the morning, I should say.
Yeah.
Mac and Jack show.
Oh yeah.
And we got some other stuff we do through the course of the week. Let's talk New York sports. Dan Harris may be back with me this week. Not sure. Got to talk to him tomorrow.
Well, I love it. I've been trying to get Dan on. I know he has his treatments and everything.
Yeah. He may come back. He started that show with me, and he was the host, and I've been kind of flying solo since he's been going through some stuff. But we got that going on, and I brought my interview show back. Dan has actually done some legwork for me.
Didn't you do did you have a comedian on the other? Or
I have tomorrow night it'll premiere on Let's Talk Sports and on TGI Sports Talk. I had comedian Tom Dreesen, who's been in the business 50 years. I remember watching him when I would skip school in the 70s. I told him I'd see him on
How old is he now?
He's 83 years old, still out on the tour. He does a one-man show. But he opened for Sinatra for 15 years. He's a huge Chicago sports fan.
Nice.
So we were all that'll be on tomorrow, and you'll see it obviously at any time after that. But we talked about everything from Sinatra to Chicago sports and his career as a comedian. We talked about so much stuff. We talked about some social issues. He's a funny, bright. Articulate. It was just a pleasure to spend an hour. I should have kept the camera going because
this is Dan's network, right?
Yeah.
It's called Play It Again Sports or
Let's Talk Sports.
Let's Talk Sports, which we're on right now, by the way. I'm broadcasting. Yeah.
Yeah, or it'll be live on TGI. Well, plausibly live on TGI Sports Talk as well. So it's a lot of fun. I'll tell you, as I started to say. After I turned off the broadcast, we talked for another half an hour. You should have
kept the camera on.
Just going. We had some great stuff in just our conversation. Man. He's already love this guy. I'm going to have him on some more. I tell you,
what time will you have that available? I'm going to listen to that while I'm driving my day job, Keith.
That'll be on 6:00 tomorrow night, the first time, and then you can listen to it anytime after that.
Nice. 6 Eastern.
6 Eastern.
Keep that in mind, guys. I'm gonna listen to that. Why that sounds good, man. What do you like my new backdrop? Inspired by you, man.
It's awesome, by the way. Very good. By the way, we got some other great interviews lined up. Let's
hear it. Yeah, I'm excited about that.
For guys who know some of the ball players of the past, we got Chuck Foreman, former great running back with the Minnesota Vikings. Tommy Kramer for quarterback for the Vikings. Kermit Washington, if you remember, Kermit Washington was a very good NBA player. Most famous, unfortunately, for punching Rudy Tomjanovich in the face.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
John Feinstein
Yeah,
wrote
he got kind of kicked out of the league there for a while.
For a year. He's a good guy. And
they made a documentary about him.
Yeah. And the poor guy, he was a really good basketball player, very quiet guy. And, he was labeled for this one thing that just
And you got him lined up?
Yeah, we're going to have him. I'm not sure. It'll be later this month.
Did Dan get a hold of all these guys?
I had all these guys that I had some contact with or friended on Facebook. Yeah. And Dan said, I got time. I'll do the legwork for you. That's why I stopped doing interviews. It's a lot of work chasing these guys down.
Pickle says Dreesen played for Carson and Letterman.
He was on Carson 61 times, Letterman like 57 times. He also was a substitute host for Letterman a few times too.
Man, Larry Frank has got a lot of people on like big night.
Yeah,
you may have Larry Frank beat.
I haven't seen Larry's stuff in a while. Where's he hiding?
I don't know. He's busy guy, man.
Yeah,
he's a busy guy. I think he still works in the restaurant business. You know how that can be.
Pickles must be as old as me then. If he knows all about Tom Dreesen.
I got some older audiences, man. I got them all. I got my nieces and. They've heard. I saw that on a preview, and I thought I need to ask Keith about that. That sounds awesome, man. I mean, that is some good stuff right there.
It was a lot of fun, and I look for guys sports related, obviously, but if he was just a comedian, I'd have him on. But I know he's a huge Cub fan from watching him back.
Which means you can do both sides,
Yeah, we talked about all kinds of stuff with sports, and we just kind of went around in a circle, talk about his career and Sinatra and the Cubs, and Bulls and Bears, kicking the Patriots' butt in '86. Walter Payton. We talked about everything. I mean, we had a lot of fun.
Yeah. You never know who will actually sit down and talk to you and not,
Listen, when I started doing this, that's all I did was interviews on Friday mornings. I got former ball players and some sports writers and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it just got so hard to track guys down. I mean, I had Louis Tiant on, Denny McClain, Roy White, all these great ball players.
Yeah.
Denny McClain
had Al Borges on, and he's a coach there for Auburn, and Mike Westhoff. He's now back in the NFL.
Is he?
Yeah, with the Denver under Sean Payton, since that head coach there. He's a big time special teams guy.
Oh, I know. He was with the Jets a long time.
He was on what do you call that? Hard Knocks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was on with Rex Ryan was there.
Rex Ryan, and I thought they were going to take. I wonder what happened there.
He's you had him on, or you're having him on?
No, I did have him on, but I wonder why that Denver didn't hire. They were supposed to hire Rex Ryan, and then something happened. They went with Vance Joseph.
Oh, I didn't realize Joseph.
Maybe Ryan wanted a lot of money, But usually money's not an option for Denver. I don't know. But Rex Ryan, he's got a strong personality. There's no telling.
Yeah, he's probably making a bunch of money on TV too. So,
well, man, I hope you get the feeling better, buddy. I know what it's like, man. When that flu hits you, brother. That's just...
When I messaged you earlier, I was this close to just saying I'm going to bed.
Well, I was just going to wing it, man. I had a story about Taylor Lewan, and it wasn't nothing great. But I was glad I had you on here. Jordan in the flu game.
You can thank my wife because she got some hot tea and honey in me, and I started to feel a little bit better. And near the end of my show, I wasn't even sure I was going to make it through that.
Man, we're going to put this on here 30 for 30, man. Hey, let me ask you something crazy. I'll bring you on between now and then. Do you have a team that's sticking out in college that you think that may win it in basketball?
Boy, I'll tell you, it's so wide open. There's teams to watch out for, though. I'll give you an outside. It's not really an outside pick, but Marquette is playing so good. Shaka Smart's got that team playing so good. They were picked to finish 9th in the Big East. They're 7th in the country right now.
Wow.
Beating all comers.
What's up with Shaka Smart? He does great at Virginia Commonwealth. He falls flat at Texas. Is there something in the water at Texas that just makes coaches do crazy stuff?
I don't know. I think, it's football country, and I think nobody's ever been able to win at Texas. I mean, you should be able to. They always get great talent, but nobody.
They got a great team this year. The coach gets fired. Then they found out it wasn't that big a deal. But Shaka Smart was so good at Virginia Commonwealth.
Yeah.
And now you're saying he's killing at Marquette?
He is. He had a good year last year, and again, he lost a lot of players. Picked to finish 9th in the Big East, which is like second to last, and he's just running the table. He's 7th in the country. They're looking at a 2 seed. I think
no love for Houston or nothing like that. I know Alabama's. You can't trust Alabama, man.
Well, look at Alabama's going to be a team everybody roots against right now because with Miller,
right?
They did this silly, pat down routine before the game Saturday.
Just no self-awareness, man.
None, zero. And they said, well, we've been doing that all year. I'm saying, well, so what? You got to stop once this stuff's going on. And Nate Oates said he was diagramming plays. I like Nate Oates a lot. He's a good coach.
He's a really good coach.
And I think he's a good guy, but he's a little tone deaf. He came off tone deaf in the press conference.
Oh my God.
A week ago. And then this thing last weekend, that's going to be the team people root against.
Yeah, you can't trust Kentucky. I don't know enough about Baylor and Houston, but this could be. Well, Baylor won a national championship a few years ago.
Yeah, Baylor got off to a bad start this year. They had a lot of injuries, but they've gotten healthy recently. They've moved into the top 10. They've been on fire as well.
They still got that guard play they've had in the past?
Yes, very good guard play. What they were missing was their veteran guards early in the season. But don't count out Kansas because they had a little swoon here a couple of weeks ago, but Kansas has been playing lights out the last couple of weeks. Back up.
Okay. Can they go back to back, or at least get back to the Final Four?
They're obviously the only team with a chance to go back to back, and they'd only be like the 3rd team in the last 50 years. I think.
Can't remember the last time a team went back to back.
I want to say Florida.
15 years, 15 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Maybe before that, 17 years ago.
Yeah, I want to say late 90s.
Well, it was in the 2000s. I remember. I was at Austin Peay.
Early 2000s, and probably. Yeah. So.
Okay, I'll save this, man. Maybe I'll bring it back on between now and then. I mean, we got the conference next week, and then the Thursday after. Yeah, we'll bring you on that Wednesday at least.
This is a great month of college basketball.
I love it, man.
In some ways, the conference tournaments are more fun than the NCAA tournament. I mean, that first weekend is great. We got actually one of the regionals here in Albany.
Nice.
This year. And
yeah. Y'all usually have something going on up there.
Still thinking about going. It's been a little while since we've had, I think it's a Thursday, Sunday they have, but it's a lot of fun that first weekend. You get there at noon, you don't get out of it till midnight. But it's a lot of fun.
You can feel the intensity in the air. Yeah, the SEC tournament will be here in Nashville. Kentucky's heating up, but you can't trust them. I mean, they lack discipline.
Well, at least, the SEC's playing where they play. I mean, the ACC's in New York. I mean, tournament in New York. I mean, good God.
Yeah. Well, I do miss those. What was it? Is it what was it called? The Big 12. What was that great tournament they would have, the conference in Madison Square Garden about 5 years ago, and then they stopped it? The Big East. The Big East, right?
The Big East tournament? Well, they still play.
With Connecticut and everybody.
Yeah,
I bet that was great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, they still play there though.
Okay. I didn't know if they switched things up or.
No, they're at the Garden, and the ACC's at Barclays.
Yeah. Boy, those Connecticut years were really good. Syracuse, when Jim Calhoun was at Connecticut, I love watching those tournaments.
That Big East. We'll never see a league like that again. That was
Villanova.
It was a made-for-TV league back in 1980 when it came about. If you watch any of the ESPN 30 for 30s, one of the best one they have is a Requiem for the Big East, and it's about the birth of the Big East. Dave Gavitt.
Nice.
Really was a guy who put that.
I've been wanting to see that one, and that one's I've missed it, man. And I love these documentaries, those 30 for 30s.
It's really good. You got to catch that one. It's really fun.
All right, man. Well, hope to see you Sunday. If not, I'll see you when I see you, buddy.
Well, I'll see you at least to say goodbye. Hello, goodbye.
Oh, you're going to play through it. Okay, Jordan. See you, man.
All right. Have a good night, Robert.
You too, buddy. All right, everybody. Thank you. And I will be back on tomorrow at the same time, 7 p.m. Central Time here on Sports Scope, everybody. Don't know who I'm going to have on or what I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to hurry up and cut this show off. Looks like it's storming here in Nashville. Okay, everybody. Have a good night. See you tomorrow. Same place, same time here on Sports Scope.